Hi everyone, and welcome to another episode of Make It Monday with the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum. My name is Sarah and I'm the Education Coordinator at the museum. And for today's Make It Monday, we are making a tissue paper sun catcher. And so this is something really great and fun to do with the kiddos if you're at home right now. And the great thing about this is it's a great way to add color to your window when you're looking outside without doing some of that normal painted sun catcher mess. So if you're really looking for a way to cut down on that mess and still be able to do a sun catcher, this is a really great way to do it. And so today I'm going to teach you one method of doing this, but I've also done this a few different ways with kids over the years. And so after I get done with my example for you today, I'll talk about a few other ways to do it as well, depending on what supplies you have at home. So let's go ahead and get started by going over our supplies needed for today. The first thing you'll need is a scissors. You'll also need some type of a writing utensil. You'll need some construction paper, and really any type of paper works, but I found that construction paper works really well for this because it's a little bit thicker, and so it's a little bit easier to work with. Today we are using contact paper, and so I just grabbed a roll of clear contact paper at a craft store here in Brookings, but you can go ahead and grab it wherever you'd like or get it online or wherever you can find your contact paper. Like I said, this is a clear paper, and so you can either get like a glossy clear paper or this is a matte clear paper. Either will work. You'll also need some tissue paper in various colors. You can use however many colors you would like. The more colors you add, the more colorful it will get. So today I'm using 3 different colors of tissue paper. You'll also need some tape. Today I'm using a painter's tape, but you can also use something like a masking tape as well, or just a regular old Scotch tape will work just great too. I have a hole punch, and then I also have something that I'll use to hang the sun catcher in a window when I'm done. So today I'm actually using one of those little suction cup grippers that has a hook on it so that I can suction it right to the window and hang it right wherever I'd like. You can also use things like ribbon or yarn or different things to hang it depending on what window you're working with and what you have at home. So that's the supplies that I use, so let's go ahead and get started. The first thing that you'll want to do is get the shape you want to use on your construction paper. You can make any shape that you want. Today I'm going to be making a pig sun catcher, and so I've already gone ahead and created my pig. I've told you this before in these videos, if you watch some of the other ones, that I'm not a very good drawer. And so I actually went around my house and found this decor item that I have within my house and was able to just use this as a stencil and trace around it and cut that out so that I didn't have to draw, which was a good thing for me. If you're artistic, you can go ahead and create whatever you'd like to, and that's totally fine as well. Another option would be if you found something online, if you search for animal clip art or cow clip art or sheep or whatever you want to be making for a sun catcher, you can find that online, print it out in the size you want, cut around it, and use that as a stencil as well. And so, like I said, I've already gone ahead and cut that out. I just took my stencil here, laid it down on my construction paper, took my writing utensil, traced around it, and then used my scissors to cut it out. And so that's pretty simple and easy to do. I'm gonna set that behind me. The thing that I did after that is I went ahead and took my shape that I'm going to be using today and I cut out the center. The center part is where you're going to be creating the sun catcher, and so the construction paper really just serves as an outline so you know where to fill your tissue paper in. And so I just went ahead and cut out kind of around the outside, left about 1/2 of an inch around the whole entire outside so that you still have the pig shape, but you have this area to fill in as a sun catcher. So I've got that done. The next thing that you're gonna wanna do is go ahead and get your contact paper ready. And so I've already gone ahead and pre-done this step, but I cut out 2 squares of contact paper that are a bit bigger than your stencil. So I'll kind of show you here. This is how big my stencil is. I went about 2 inches bigger on all the sides, just so that I had plenty of room to work with and that it's a little easier to manage in the next step when you're adding the Suncatcher part. And so I cut 2 squares of this. We'll use one on the front and one on the back to seal everything in. And so let's go ahead and move to the next step. I already have those pre-cut. The next thing that I did is I went ahead and took my tissue paper and I cut that into about 1-inch squares so that I can use that during my project as well. How much tissue paper you need depends on how big your area is, but you need enough so that you can fill in your center hole in your Suncatcher. And so I didn't cut up a ton of tissue paper, but I've already pre-cut it into squares. Today I'm using pink and purple and this teal color. And so that's the color choices that I'm using today. Again, you can use whatever you'd like that you have at home or available, and you can use 1 color, you could use 8 colors. It's really up to you and how colorful you want that to be. So now that I have all of my supplies gathered and ready and prepped and ready to go, let's go ahead and start making our Suncatcher. So I'm going to go ahead and start with 1 of my squares of contact paper. And I'm going to have my tape ready to roll to help me out with this. I'm going to peel off 4 pieces so that I can put 1 piece on every corner. And this will help you out as you're going through and creating your Suncatcher, because as you can tell, this contact paper is a little rolly. Once you peel the paper backing off, it's not as likely to roll back up like this, but this will just help keep it flat when we tape the 4 corners. And it also helps a little bit too when we're putting the things on here, because this is sticky back. And so sometimes kids will put something down, they won't get it the whole way down, and they might lift it back up and it will get wrinkled. And so the tape is really just to hold down your workspace to keep it ready and clean and ready to go as well. So I'm going to go ahead and peel off this backing. And leave it sticky side up. And like you can see, I'm kind of trying to move it around with my fingers and it's pretty sticky. So I'm going to go ahead and just tape my 4 corners down. And that's going to make it a lot easier to work with in the long run. Okay, so I've got that taped down. You can go ahead and dispose of your backing wherever you would like. The next step that you're going to do is you're going to put your outline down onto your sticky side of your contact paper. And so the side that's taped down to the table is going to be your front. And so I'm actually going to take whatever side of this I want to be my front. I think I want this side to be my front. So I'm going to go ahead and lay that down right on the contact paper. And I'm going to press this down to make sure it's nice and flat. So I'm good to go. The next thing that you'll do is you'll start arranging inside your centerpiece here your different tissue paper squares to create the design that you want to have on your Suncatcher. And so I'm just going to go ahead and start doing a random design in here. You want to make sure that when you start, you overlap a little bit on the edges so that you have it all filled in with tissue paper. And the great thing about this is that the contact paper, while it's sticky, it usually has just a tiny bit of give to it. And so if you make a mistake, that's totally fine. You can get it fixed later on. And so I'm just going ahead and filling this in as I go. You can make whatever design you'd like. And I'm overlapping the pieces of tissue paper just a little bit as I go here so that it kind of gives that stained glass overlap look. But this is a great way for kids to show their creative side and work through this art project, which is pretty fun. Make sure that when you are doing this with kids that you're helping them, and if the tissue paper is kind of sticking together, that you're helping them get those pieces unstuck as you work through this. Almost done here. Like this piece, it was a little too big and it overlapped on the outside, so I just ripped that off with my hand. Super easy to do. I did that on this one too. So I'm done. So now I have my whole centerpiece filled in with tissue paper. You can always do a double check for your kiddos when they're done, just to make sure that they have that whole centerpiece filled in. And once you get all that done, we're actually going to go ahead and seal this up so that it has contact paper on both sides. So you're going to take your other piece of contact paper, and I'm going to peel the backing off of this. And this is something that you might need to help your kiddos with too, depending on how old they are, because you don't really want a lot of bubbles or wrinkles or folds or anything with this. But you can go ahead and place it right on the top. And then press this to seal it shut. Okay. And you might have a few air bubbles in there. I have a few air bubbles that are around the outside, which I'm not going to worry about too much. I just want to make sure that I have it sealed and a nice edge around the outside, so that's good. The next thing you'll do is take your tape off of the table and undo this so that you can lift this up and it's not stuck to the table anymore. And then give one nice big extra hard press to make sure everything's sealed. And then you're going to take your scissors and do the next step, and you're going to cut around your Suncatcher. And so I'm going to leave about like 1/4 of an inch of white or this clear space around the outside just to help keep it sealed. So that, you know, as time goes on, it just makes sure that that's extra sticky and sealed around the outside. So I'm going to go ahead and do this quick. Contact paper is really nice and easy to cut. So that is always an added bonus for kiddos who are learning how to cut or who are having some struggles with those scissors. This is a great thing to practice on. Like I said, I'm just leaving about 1/4 of an inch around the whole outside here. Get around this little guy's head. Okay. So I am done. I have everything cut out. Everything is ready to go. The last step that you need to do is take your hole punch. And so that I can hang this in the window, I'm going to do a hole punch in the center of the top here. So I'm going to go ahead and do that. So now I've got a nice hole there. And like I said, this is where you can get a little creative as well. And like I said, I'm using a suction cup that has a little hook on it so that I can hang this right in my window. Other options would be if you have string or yarn or anything at home, you can also make a little hanger out of it and do it that way as well. And so this is a way to make a super fun, cute, easy tissue paper sun catcher at home. Like I said, this method was that I showed you today, use contact paper. I've also done this a few different times in the past, and I've done things like use laminating sheets when I have access to a laminator that I have to use with kiddos. Just make sure that you're helping them with that laminator because it can get hot sometimes. But I just used a laminating pouch that opens up, did the design in the middle, put the pages back together and put it through the laminator according to directions. And that's a great way to get a clear seal around the outside as well. If you don't have a laminator at home and you don't have contact paper at home, but you have clear strapping tape or packing tape at home, that's another great way that you can do it. You just set it up kind of like you do if you're taping a label onto a box to get ready to ship. You take your long pieces, you overlap a little as you're setting the pieces up, and then you create a bigger space so that you can do your design on, and then you seal the back just the same way. Take your strapping tape, the long pieces, make sure the edges overlap a little, and seal it up on the back. And so that's just a few ways to make this cute tissue paper sun catcher. If you have any questions, as always, please let me know. Again, my name is Sarah. I'm the education coordinator, and I'm so glad that you could all join us again for another episode of Make It Monday from the South Dakota Agricultural Heritage Museum. Have a good day.